So I am on from the first day of principal photography, and I am working with the director as they're shooting, reacting to the material and cutting it together. So I'm sort of the first audience of that material, so I can give feedback and maybe make recommendations of pickups that might be needed. Because the fine cut time is so tight these days in TV drama, I do a lot of my sound design and fine cutting during my assembly, which is a crucial sort of skill for me. So I like doing my own assemblies for that reason, so I can get into the material, find the subtext or the subjective point of view of the characters where needed, or if it's an action scene, get to know all the material. So by the time the fine cut begins, I'm a really good ally for the director because I'll have watched everything. With my documentary background, I watch everything. Typical day is the assistant editor will have imported all the media and broken them down into scene bins, and I will tackle each bin from the very beginning. Because I was trained on film, I do this, which I don't know if it's unique or not, but I do it. I watch everything and I pick out all my favourite bits for each scene, each best performance, and then I have this timeline called Una's Selects Scene 24, and I actually do that for all the scenes that were shot without cutting yet, just making selections. Then I take my lunch, and when I come back, I watch the Una Selects, which might be 24 minutes long, and then I begin to cut it, because I've watched actually everything and I've had time to digest. So a bit like osmosis. If I've noticed that in the wide shot there's a brilliant moment in the middle of the scene, I'll keep the wide shot for that moment and not use it at the beginning or end. So I try and find the moment in the scene or in the shot, whichever setup that speaks to me, and then I can build the scene around that. I studied a 4-year degree in Dublin, my native home, from immediately after leaving school. So when I was 14, I wanted to do film, and my brother, who's older than me, he told me that there was a new film and media course in Dublin. I immediately wanted to do that. So although I was in a very academic school and all the teachers and career guidance were trying to put me off, I did that first for 4 years, and then I went to the National Film and Television School, specialising in film editing. And from there, 5 of our graduation films that I had edited were shown in Cannes, and one won the top prize, 1999, going back 19 years. That's how I got into it. And then with the friends and colleagues that I met at the National, I started to work with them through documentaries first and then into drama. I think the key skills to be a good editor is to listen, be collaborative, follow your instincts, watch the material, see what feels truthful to you, and if it feels truthful to you, it will feel truthful to the audience. You have to be very diplomatic. You have to negotiate notes and be an ally for the director, but also not exclude the producers or the exec producers. So sometimes there's a balancing act that we have to do. But in general, all of us, producers, writers, exec producers, all of us, we want the best for the film. So it's actually a very collaborative thing. I think you need a good memory, because sometimes when all the notes come in, you might remember something that you'd seen in the material that would actually solve a note that is given in a different way, a different solution maybe to the note given, but most notes that are given, they come from a good place, and you have to address whatever that concern is. So I think patience, good memory, diplomatic skills, and follow your instinct. Yeah, so it does vary a lot. If they're shooting 2 cameras, on some of the shows I've done, we've had maybe 80 hours of material. I think 3 girls might be 40 for 1 hour. It was quite high because Philippa shot it in a really beautiful documentary style where the camera was always moving. We didn't use conventional wide shots and close-ups and reverse shots, so we had more footage, longer takes. In the script, it was beautifully written, first of all, by Nicole Taylor, and she had woven some of the stories together. But because when we were cutting, we discovered some different information, particularly in episode 2, we had to remodel episode 2, but we did it together, all of us together. Nicole came to the cutting room and we played things out, and there were some scenes that we had to create from material. If we discovered, for example, that Sarah Rowbotham heard something on the radio and that scene was never shot, I used footage from episode 2 when she was in the car and wove it together with trees, downloaded the original radio interview. So it was actually, finding the structure was very organic, and it was very collaborative. All of us were on the same page, and we met the real people who were involved, and that also kept the onus of responsibility on us to do our best to tell the story in as truthful and as considerate a way as possible. So Sue Hogg actually discovered the story, And Simon Lewis, the producer, approached Philippa, who approached Nicole. And then I was working on The Crown, and Suzanne Mackey recommended me to Philippa Luthor. So then I joined the team when they had finished writing. They were still in the process of writing, but they hadn't begun shooting yet. And then I was on board several months before they began shooting. So I was able to feed in any thoughts I had to the script. But we were actually very lucky because we all were on the same page, and we challenged each other in very positive ways of trying to push the story more, to see what more could be gleaned at script stage, to make sure that the story of the girls was told with understanding, because on-street grooming was such a difficult subject to try and tell, and make sure that the audience at home could understand it and empathise with the girls. I love working with directors. I'm very collaborative anyway, and so I've worked with directors who like to be in the cutting room with me, but they mightn't be, although they're sitting beside me, they might be on their email and touching in. I've worked with directors who don't want to come to the cutting room and will come in once a week or once a fortnight, or even I can upload it and they can watch it from their holiday home in Europe or whatever. So I've worked with both types. But at the end of the day, I think each way finds its own feet. And I think when they're shooting and you're assembling, which is why for all editors, our assembly period is like so golden for us, because it gives us a chance to explore the material with nobody around. So then we're a more learned person by the time our director is free for the fine cut. And then I think it's great. I could cut something and surprise them, or they might make a suggestion and I'll try it out and it works even better, or it doesn't work and we go back to the original. So it's a growing process, and I think it makes everyone's work richer when you listen to each other. I think that's something that we found in the edit, but I would have to pay tribute obviously to the script and Philippa and all the team, because the actors, they were so in the moment that I was actually able to use their shots, or even if I cheated a little later shot, but they were so in the moment that I could actually use the dialogue of the other person who's speaking and see the effect on them. And you can only do that really when everyone is on point. So even before action or after cut, I could find a shot of Holly where she just looked so beautiful that if I used it at a particular moment, her vulnerability just shone through. So being present and in the moment at all times, before action and after cut, you can use those shots. And then I think it sort of reveals itself to you. The subtext of the scene is very often revealed through the reactions of the people, not watching the person saying the thing. And that's the joy of editing.